So hopefully you've got your questions at the ready. Kim and I are going to kick it off a little bit, and then we'll put it out to you guys as well. So Kim, did you have a good time tonight? What's your thoughts?
I know these guys have so many stories, Wayne, and I wish we had more time with each of them so we can really dig deep. But maybe I can just kick off with a really simple question. What are some of your aha moments? You know, you've talked about some moments which you brought you down to your knees, or big learnings. Just maybe share a few more aha moments with everyone here.
For me, I think one of the aha moments was when we started to get some early traction with Locomote, and the things that we were saying, the things that we thought, because we were new to the industry, we knew nothing about travel, so we were completely naive to the space. We just knew what a beautiful product would look like and what an easy product to like that would be to use. So the aha moment for us is when people said, we'll pay for this, and we haven't written a line of code yet. So if you can get people to buy your product or service before you've even developed it, then that's real validation right there. So that was a good aha moment for us.
I've got a very similar one actually, in that we had a massive aha moment. We were facing a period in 2014 where we were unsure if we had product market fit, and cash burn was high, cash balance was going down, and we had to scramble to figure out what to do. And we're like, okay, let's go to back to the drawing board. And this is the early stages of us actually how we develop product now. And we looked at one angle of it is where are schools currently spending money, and can we do a better job for that what they're spending money on? And we came up with a product that tripled the price. And we didn't build it. We did wireframes in InDesign actually. It looked like it was a real thing. And we went around and pre-sold close to $1 million of it off the back of a demo like that, and turn the business around, or make the outlook look a lot better, and helped us get to where we are today. So yeah, an aha moment of fake it till you make it. Yeah.
So a little bit about those moments when you are close to on your knees and you've got to turn it around. You're going back to the drawing board. Is it just as practical as that, or is it, are you kind of relying on that support network that you talked about? Is it kind of, what was that lowest point?
Yeah, it was quite a worrying moment. When you're facing that potential wall in front of you that you're going to go head first into. Support network is very, very important, but I knew we'd get through it. Just had, I guess, with the relationship we had with Duncan and Jeremy, the team we had at the time, I knew we'd just figure it out. So I could take confidence in that. But yes, literally it was we literally did use we might have used paper for the first time in a while, and drew something up, and then we went back to a spreadsheet. Jeremy was involved, FYI, like one of my co-founders, he loves spreadsheets. So yeah, that's what we did, yeah.
Yeah, one moment, apart from the one I mentioned before, that comes to mind was we were rolling, so the travel platform connected with travel agencies, and we just onboarded our first big travel agency, and they were moving all their business over to Locomote. And went live on a Friday. Never go live on a Friday. It's probably one of the things, because if something goes wrong, then you're staying back all weekend. And it was actually Good Friday. So being Italian, background with our families, and I'll never forget, Ross got a phone call from one of the leaders of the travel company, and things were going bad, really bad. And the words verbatim, so it was like, Ross, you are fucking my company. And because nothing was working. And we were there and we're like, it's Good Friday, what that? That was like a moment, you're stuck, everyone's at home, what do you do? And he just got blasted no tomorrow. And it was one of those moments when then on Sunday we got together, then on Monday we tried to fix everything. It was just you knew you'll find a way, but you just kept getting those knocks every now and then. But it's you got trust in the team rallied and they came through. But it still hurts when those things like that happen.
Yeah, you've both talked about resilience and pushing through those walls and knowing you can push through it. Is that something that comes naturally? Is it something that these people here should have if they're starting off a business, or can people nurture that?
I think you need it, because you're going to get 1,000 no's. Before we came on the stage today, we had someone gave us a great feedback on what we're doing, and then someone saying, nah, not going to work. And it's like, it hurts. But it's how do you take that and how do you respond to that? So our approach now is, okay, cool. So it doesn't work like this. How would it work for you? So like trying to turn that around and saying, we're going to give you the product, want you to experience it, and give us the feedback that will make it work. Whereas before, I'd probably get angry, pissed off, and swear at them, not swear at them, swear at them after, and get angry about it. But now it's like, through the experience, it's like, how can we turn this around and turn someone that doesn't like it into someone that does like it? Because that's when you can do something really magical with that.
I think everyone has an inbuilt level of resilience, but I think you can improve. I believe you can improve in anything. It takes work, so don't beat yourself up about it. And one way I believe to be helpful personally is meditating. I would recommend that as a tool to declutter your mind. Back to pushing through. Taking those blows and thinking them as a gift. Just like we think about feedback from each other at Edrollo as a gift, and trying to learn from it. If you have that view, I think that will help along a lot. Yeah.
We talk about resilience and gifts, and I know from experience that some no's are more painful than others. What was your most painful no, and how did you rebound off that?
Oh, okay. There's been a lot, so that's why I'm taking a moment here. But I'll talk about our investment process in 2013. We're in the US in Silicon Valley, and I think we had a CRM of potential investors of close to 200 people, and I think we got, we ended up having 15 investors, so that tells you how many no's we got. They were very painful. You're like, are we going to get this done? Are we actually working on something that's going to do what we say it's going to do? So, just roll with it. Keep going and back yourself.
I think the biggest pain one was when I mentioned our first attempt at building a product, and then we didn't get the investment that was promised and signed. That just taught us one of the most valuable lessons, is that sign agreement, all that sort of stuff means nothing unless the money's in the bank. So that was a massive lesson and a massive situation for us.
Awesome. So I think it's about time to put it out to the audience. What do you reckon, Kim? I think there's a few burning questions out there. Am I right? Has anybody got a question for our speakers this evening? I'm going to pass the microphone around. So gentleman at the front first.
I have a question for you. You mentioned about global ambitions, but how do you plan to compete with organizations such as Khan Academy? That's one question. The second question is, since 2010, the government has uncapped the number of places at universities, which means students are able to basically get into any course they want virtually without too much difficulty. So there's less motivation for them to work hard and achieve higher return. So doesn't it mean that there's less demand for your services? Thank you.
Yeah, thank you for your questions. First one, globally competing. We're in an industry where there are actually many, many niche markets. Khan Academy is fantastic for the US curriculum, and there are a lot of things, a lot of Australian teachers use it. But when you get into the nitty gritty of the actual VCE and HSC, there are individual textbooks for VCE mathematics, units 3 and methods 3 and 4, for a reason, because there isn't a global textbook that can be used, because you need to be tailored to the curriculum and what the government stipulates you're going to be examined on. So that's how we will compete. We'll make sure that we're always curriculum aligned and add more value than what else is out there. Onto your second question, please just refresh my memory. Uncapping. Yeah, we've actually seen the opposite effect. In fact, we're in almost 90% of Victorian secondary schools, as an example, from 25% 3 years ago. While I guess tertiary places are uncapped, there is still competition to get into Melbourne University or Monash University, etc. So there is still that desire to do well at high school, to continue on the pathway that they want to. As a side note, I'd personally want to use Edrollo as a mechanism to change the ATAR focus of our system. So hopefully we can change that.
Great question, great answers. Yeah, gentleman at the front there.
All right, so first of all, kudos to both of you for starting a business and running a successful show. I have two questions, perhaps. Starting a business, you always need a capital investment, right? Have you guys exposed or tried any venture capitalists? And if yes, what was your experience from that? My second question is basically how to get the courage to leave your full-time job. I think that's the most painful question, at least to me. I'm not about the audience, but this is the most painful question to me. How to leave the full-time job?
All right. For the first one, we got... So the Locomote journey was interesting. So we never took VC money. So we started to generate our own cash from making sales before we had the product.
All right.
And then the initial company that bought us out, we did a JV with them at the start. So we worked on the product together and would help them win more business. And then after we showed some traction, then they bought into us, which then fueled us even further. And then a couple of transactions later, then they bought us out completely. We did look at the VC route, but we're too far in our current model that it wouldn't work.
Have you seen the global level VCs, or you were looking for some Aussie-based VCs?
We had interest from global VCs, but with the deal that we currently had, we couldn't look at external funding because we were just so deep. But we had interest, and it was a good experience talking to them and what they look at in relation to what's a good company for them, the type of values they invest in, sort of the morals, the growth models that they look at, the team that they look at. So that was an awesome experience. And to your second question, it's a bit of, you can do the moonlighting thing as well, and that's a good approach as well, but it depends on, if you're sort of single and you're at home and you have a family, it's a lot easier to do moonlighting, but if you've got kids and that's you're going to have 2 minutes and 30 seconds.
You got to pay the bills, buddy.
That's right. So try and do what you can on the side, but sometimes you need to take that chance. And it's not to take the chance where you can put your family at risk. We risk quite a bit, Ross and I, but we try to say, what is the worst case scenario? So if we can quit our job, what is the run rate? How many months do we have before we need to start making money, before things start to go sideways at home? And then when you work that out, say you give yourselves 8 months, 12 months, if you can build yourself up enough runway where you don't have to stress about the money, you can focus on your product, your service, so you can build up to that, that's an approach as well. But you need to start. When you're ready, you're never fully ready. It's never 100%. There's always that scare risk factor. I'm still scared now of what we're doing with Ambisie and Recommendr. It's will it work? We don't know. We've got every ambition to make it work, but that fear never goes. You just gain more confidence and more experience that the things that can help you get there faster. But do you ever know? There's always that fear. But if you really want to do it, you'll do it.
I'll continue on that. The second question. I think go out and talk to your potential customers and pretend that you're actually going to sell them something, and get confidence that way, and the courage to go at it. There's no harm in speaking to potential customers. Maybe don't go speak to your premium number one goal client. Go speak to the middle tier of your potential clients and cut your teeth on figuring out how to pitch your business and figure out if people will actually pay for what you think you've got an idea around. On your first question about VCs, yes, we're venture capital backed. So we've spoken to most VCs in Australia. There are a lot of international VCs actually starting to look at Australian companies because probably because of the frothiness in Silicon Valley. They're looking for opportunities elsewhere, and we've had a lot of wins on the board with Atlassian, Aconex, and things like that recently that people are getting excited about the talent pool here in Australia overall. But I will say with VCs, they invest in data points, not just one meeting. So if you think your startup needs venture capital financing, go where they are and get to know them, and continually get to know them, pester them, and show them progress on what you're doing, how you're thinking, and that'll help you if you do need to raise money in the future.
We're going to pass it back to the gentleman there in the brown trousers.
Thank you to both of you tonight. It was a really awesome presentation. My questions for Ben. I presume it would have been, I guess, quite difficult getting into 700 schools due to the presumable bureaucratic structure. How did you penetrate that wall that exists between businesses and schools? Because I run a business that would have potential for schools, but I'm finding it difficult to get from that wall.
Yeah, schools are a very interesting organisation. They kind of act like a corporation, but don't in a lot of senses. Number one, you need to figure out who is the right person for you to be speaking with. And what we've found from experience is if you have respectful persistence, you will get to speak to someone or that person that is the right person. It's just they might not reply to your email or return your message because that teachers, educators are super busy. They have a lot on their plates, and there's been so many times where a teacher has said to us, "Thank you so much for persisting and trying to get in touch with me. I do want to meet with you. Let's do it. I've got time now." Keep at it, but be respectful.
Cool. Anybody else out there with a question?
So if you had a great idea, say tomorrow, but you needed a lot of funding, what would you do to get that funding? What would be your go-to guy?
Go-to guy.
Simple, walk in the park.
If you find him, can you tell me? If you had a good idea. We're doing something at the moment, like with Ambisie. So we're putting together this documentary, and we put a goal on ourselves on, how could we make this look like a $10 million production, but only going to spend 10 grand? So then we work backwards as to, so what would it look like at 10 mil? All right, so it'd be, we'll do screenings, we have this many people sign up to it, we have all these sponsors, and we're like, all right, but we're going to do it for 10 grand, so how are we going to do it? And then you try and look at all the possible ways that you can leverage, like relationships, or if you can get sponsors to do sort of contra deals, to sponsor marketing effort. You think of all these lateral sort of ways on how you can get the value of something that you think you need. Because if you need $5 million, you don't need $5 million right now, right? Like no idea, unless you're building rocket ships, needs that day one. So you can go real lean and you can start real small to begin with until you get to that. So it's like, try and think laterally. Like if you had a gun to your head and you couldn't spend that sort of money, how would you do it? Because there'll be times when you don't have that money and you need to think like that. So if you can do it at that level, it's very easy to spend money, but to think laterally and find new ways to fuel your startup without getting investment in the early days forces you to think differently, and that's a good skill to try and have.
That's awesome advice. There's actually a really good podcast episode on how I built this with the Airbnb co-founder, and he talks about the experience he wants to live. What's a 10-star experience, and he works his way backwards, or he works up to a 10-star. It's really interesting. But who would be a go-to person for funding? I would actually go to customers, honestly, and my own pocket. And figure out a way how I could learn and iterate along the way, get some traction, and then figure out how much do I actually need, and is this an investable business for someone to put money in? I'll leave it there.
Excellent. There's a lady in the white there.
I just got a quick one. How did you settle on pick your initial idea out of the hundreds of ideas you had? How did you land on that?
I think, the initial thing was the desire to build something. So, personally, I'm not big on travel, never was, let alone corporate travel. But I was passionate about, I want to build a product that we build from scratch. I want to do something that allows me to build a team, that allows me to get customers, that allows them to see excitement. So the cause behind it was what drove me personally. So I think the idea, like Ben said, you get 1,000 ideas and there's 1,000 ways you can go in your business. I think it's picking one that lights your fire, that makes you, when you wake up, you could spend a whole day. If you can get into flow in what you're doing, and what I mean, the day can just in an instant be gone, and you're making progress, then you found that thing that really drives you and that resonates. And if you can make a business out of that, you can make it sustainable, then that's the thing that you go with. For me, it wasn't an industry, it was more of a, I want to do this thing. And it just so happened to be that it was in travel and it was a software thing. And I fell into that. And now post that, I now know what I want to do now. You know, it's still in that space, but it's more aligned to my values and to my family and what I want to do. And that changes as the experience you get and all the ups and downs that you go through.
For me, it's probably from just doing different things along the way and getting more confidence in the idea as I went. And Rollo started actually as early days, an idea about starting up a tuition centre because I was a privateer at some stage and spun that idea around and thought, no, I won't go with it. Then it just sparked a conversation with one of my co-founders. Said, I was thinking about opening a tuition centre, but now the internet's a lot faster. We've got ADSL 2, yay. Surely we can do something online here. And we started looking into it, found out, couldn't do live tuition sessions because Google Hangouts didn't exist at that time and ADSL 2. And probably couldn't now with the NBN. Just a process of, I guess, just having discussions around the ideas and them morphing over time. But I think you can actually systemize a lot of this as well when you get to a stage in terms of like ranking your confidence around an idea. We use it's been applied in marketing ways. It's called an ICE ranking, ICE, impact, confidence, and ease of execution. And if you give each a score and you can figure out, okay, it just gives you a numerical way of your gut feel, what your gut's telling you. And you go, okay, that's got it, the highest score. I'm going to focus on this idea first and go get some proof points. What's the first thing you need to prove? And read the Lean Startup, build, measure, learn. That's how I'd go through it.
Cool. Lady in the white.
Hi. So how did you make your, this is for David, how did you make your pre-sale without even a product? Because we've got some suggestions that when you are to know your customers, it's better to know their problems rather than just give them the product. Especially when they're business people, they try and they're just like, sorry, can't tell you. Yeah. So how do you build that relationship? How do you make that sale?
So how that first sale came about with us in Locomote was Phil had a friend that was presenting to a large mining company like the next week, and she had heard that he had some guys that can build stuff. That's what she said, right? And that was Ross and I and a third co-founder, Steve. And she's like, I'm going up there, they're using this supplier, they don't like them, they want something different. I got nothing, come up with something. So then Phil came to us and was like, all right, here's the problem they got. Guys, design something and go pitch it next week. And we're like, what? And like at that stage, we didn't even know who the competitor was. Like we looked them up, but you couldn't really see the tool because it was all behind, you had to be a user. So we just started from, like I said earlier, like a real naive thing. And because we were starting with a clean slate, when they saw like the PowerPoint slides, and it was just like a few designs that I knocked up and on PowerPoint, and then Ross and Steve went up and presented it, it sort of captivated them because it was a real different approach. It was like what you do in the leisure side of things, and they'd never been exposed to that. And then from that initial meeting, they gave us some more feedback on more of their problems that we had, and we turned that around within 24 hours and be like, okay, cool, so how about this? And then because of the speed that we acted at, compared to the existing supplier who probably took them for granted, they loved that approach. They loved that sort of agility and how fast and how hungry we were. And true to that person that agreed to it, like they took a chance with us. And they said, yep, we'll take this. If you can build it in X time, then we'll pay this amount. And that started us on our journey to go and ask, I wonder if other corporates have this same problem. And we did, and we discovered more problems, and we showed more things, and then more subscribed to it. And that's how it started. But it was building that trust factor and listening to what the problems they had, and then acting fast on that. Similar to like Ben was saying, the data points, getting back to them fast. So that was an experience that they were never exposed to, and they really appreciated. And then that built the trust really quickly with us.
Thank you. So you're saying like bring customers on a journey with you, like help them, like, make them feel like they're involved.
Definitely, and even like before I said like someone was giving us a bit of negative feedback or some more criticism, like, you know, good feedback in a way that's, you know, wasn't in line with what we were thinking. It's like, oh, how can we change that? So what can we do to turn that into a positive? And if they have that involvement, then they come along on the journey as well, and they actually do help build the product. You know, our first 5 customers helped us build Locomote, because from their problems, you know, everyone had similar problems, so we were able to model around the problems that they had. So they helped us, and they felt really loyal to us, and they referred us. And if you can build a little community like that and make your customers feel that they're part of the journey and they actually help shape the product, then you've got a real stickiness and a real power, because they're involved and they feel like that they're part of the company and they're paying for it. And that's super loyal. So if you can do something like that, it's really powerful.
Thank you.
I think we've got time for a couple more questions. So, yeah.
Hi, this is for the whole panel. Just came up earlier about venture capital investment. I was just reading Richard Florida put out a thing about cities around the world, and Melbourne said Melbourne had an increasing rate of deals, I think, but they were largely early stage pre-seed funding. Why do you think that's happening? I don't know, it's a pretty broad question, but why is it early stage and not getting into later stage funding?
Yeah, that's a tricky question for me to answer because I haven't been following it this closely, I'm sorry, but we've seen a general pickup in VC activity and funds available. I think there's a personal experience, Blackbird Ventures, for example, and Airtree Ventures, they're both investors in Ed Rollo. Blackbird have set up a local office in Melbourne. They have at least one partner here, Nick Rocco, who I mentioned before, and a couple of associates. So that's potentially happening. There's been a lot more activity in with StartMate being here in Melbourne as well, and the flow-on effect that has in terms of angel investors and smaller check sizes being written for those seed rounds. But Airtree and Blackbird both have, I think, of their Australian investments, I don't know if it's 50-50, but it's pretty evenly spread between Sydney and Melbourne, then other states as well, even in Brisbane too. So we're at a really exciting time from a venture capital perspective in Australia, where it's the most money we've had, I believe, in history. And now it's up to us collectively to make sure they see a return so they stick around.
I've got a little bit of a question actually, whilst I think the microphone's maybe being passed to somebody else, but talking about supporting teams and supporting other team members, do you mentor other people, and do you also have a bit of a mentorship for yourself as well?
Yeah, we personally right now I don't, just because of the role, my structures, but yes, I had direct reports that I would mentor in a sense and run their weekly one-on-ones with. Outside of Ed Rollo, there's been a couple of people that I've helped, typically in the EdTech vertical, and I find that it's actually a useful way for me to just stress test my assumptions and make sure my communication skills are good and my strategic thinking is good. It's just another avenue for me to learn, and I do believe in paying it forward as well, or paying it back even, but paying it forward if you can, because we're potentially faced with abundance in this world. It's great to see amazing ideas come to fruition that benefit everyone in humanity. So, yeah.
Yourself, David?
Yeah, we do a bit of mentoring of early stage startups, just more similar to like tonight, just sharing our story. We try not to give advice. It's more just on sharing our experience, which is something like EO has taught us a lot to sort of, rather than give advice and you should do this, you should do that, is more, well, something similar happened to us and this is how we dealt with it. And having mentors, I think, is important. We've got mentors now. We just had a coffee with one of ours the other day and just taught us something really well. We want to become, cash flow positive in X amount of time. And he's like, guys, be patient. He goes, sometimes if you can hold out to the long run and be more patient, you can build something a lot bigger and better. He's like, it's good that you have your goals and you want to hit these milestones, but he's like, just make sure that if you've got the traction, have that patience, Because if you can rush into things, and we're all in that hurry lifestyle, we want to get that hockey curve on the graph, and it's like, well, you know, it doesn't always happen like that. You know, if you span it over 10 years, you can see that growth, but it's like, be patient if you can do it, because that's when you can really build something great as well. And just makes you leave the meeting going, he's so wise. Sometimes you need, I think it's like a typewriter. Like you go into your rhythm and into your habit, and you go along the way, and then sometimes you just need that whack to get back in, you know, that check back, because you can get lost in what you're doing, get so deep in what you're doing that you just need someone who knows nothing about what you're doing, and you come for the first time to make you throw a curveball at you, and you're like, so simple, but you're just not thinking it. And mentors and, you know, good friends around you can help think like that. So the more you can be surrounded by people who you admire and respect and can learn from, the better and faster you will grow. And you'll see that in your family life and in your companies and everything that you do. You just become better.
Yeah, excellent. Okay,
thanks, gentlemen. Thanks for the proposals. Really great. So the question is in relation to how do you balance the ambition of wanting to grow and scale a business versus having periods of consolidation? Those are two very different types of mechanisms that you have to kind of look at. And then the follow-on from that is how do you balance different needs within having multiple founders in your business? How do you balance those motivations and make sure that we're all driving towards the same goal?
Yeah, it's really interesting. I think you know, every startup goes through a phase of rapid growth, and maybe you growth stalls for whatever reason, and you can actually turn that into a good thing, in that you can really stop, take stock, and figure out, okay, what's not working and why, and how can we fix it. So use it as an opportunity, a learning opportunity again, to rethink things and go back to the drawing board in a sense. In terms of making sure you're aligned with your co-founders, what we do is we do regular feedback sessions, like literally, what are 3 things that you did well this period? What are 3 things you could have done better? And we also do the weekly check-in. So we've got that email mechanism I shared, reflection-wise, but we also critically assess whether or not we think we're each working on the right goals. We also do a monthly catch-up. We call it Founder Future Forum. It's kind of like a therapy session, and it's just for us to spend time thinking about bigger picture ideas, and also just making sure the vision we have is kind of along the same track, which that helps us align. Yeah.
I'll just echo Ben's comment. So the communication is key. We used to think that we used to over-communicate in our old business, and it wasn't until recently one of the guys who had left a while back, and we caught up to when we went overseas, and he's like, I didn't appreciate how much that you guys shared with us, and how much that helped us in our direction. Because in the current company that he's at, they don't communicate as much as we did. And we were worried that we communicated too much. So I don't think that you can communicate too much, personally. I think the more you can, the more the staff knows and your founders know that you're aligned. And it's just something that if you can turn into a bit of a habit, your team appreciates, your founders appreciate, and you'll find that you'll be rarely off track if you're constantly having those checkpoints. Whether it's a structured meeting or if it's a casual chat as to what you're doing, you can pull each other up. So that communication is really key. We didn't do it in the early days, and that's where things start to go a bit crazy. But when we start to communicate weekly, group face-to-faces, morning kickoffs, things got really back online, and it was a nice flow from there.
We're coming towards the end, so I'm maybe going to finish off with a question, if that's all right with you, Kim. So just a little bit around kind of legacy and what your thoughts are around kind of the projects that you're working on. Do you see an exit point, or do you see just continually passing on that legacy with the projects you're on currently?
Yeah, I hope Bedroller lasts forever and becomes the most impactful business in the world. So I really hope that does happen, and that we've got the right team and continue to add to the team that can see this our vision and mission out. It's quite exciting, but also a bit scary at the same time, thinking in that way. But the way I think about it is, if I was to be hit by a bus, I'm looking for wood to touch, but there's none. I'd love for Roller to be able to just continue on without me.
Interesting question, because we thought about it, and what we're doing now, it's sort of something like we could see ourselves doing for 10, 20 years plus. We've got a vision to inspire and motivate 100 million students across the globe. So that's a long journey to get to that. But it's something that we feel that, could be our life's work. If we can find that value and really nail it, it could be something that we would happily do for a long time. Exits are great because it gives you like financial freedom, but you can also get that in your work. And so I think you need to have the right motive when you're looking at starting your business. If it's, it's good to pick out potential people that could acquire you, so you can be strategic in what you do and how you build. But if you're focused on the sale and the money, then your drivers, I feel, in my opinion, are wrong from day one. And you'll do things for the wrong reason, and you'll just end down this slippery path of chasing the dollar. And you need to be sustainable, but it's the wrong goal to set, I feel, from the outset if you're doing that.
Totally. Awesome. Okay, guys, so can we have a round of applause for our guest speakers this evening?